Hi, I'm Sean Reynolds, the owner of Smit Properties Northwest and Reynolds & Klein Appraisal. What do appraisers do when there's no permits pulled on an addition? So what happens when an appraiser comes out to a home and they open up the garage door, it doesn't open up, and they go inside the home and realize that there are now 2 bedrooms and a bath in there, and yet the tax records say there are no permits for this area. What happens? This is a scenario that happens all the time. Probably at least once a week I get hit up the question of, hey, I've got this house, it's got this addition or it's got this finished off area, and no, there weren't permits. What do I do? Or how is that going to impact the appraisal process? And is it possible for an unpermitted area to be included as living space in the home? So I think the first thing to recognize is that there's a really wide spectrum of how appraisers might handle this scenario. From the ultra conservative, they're going to say, hey, this is not legally permitted, therefore it's not legal living space, can't use it, 0 value. All the way up to, hey, it's there, the buyers are going to pay a premium for it, let's give it full value, let's include it as living area. Usually it's somewhere kind of in the middle. Yes, the space is there, but it's not legally permitted, meaning it's not legal space. And it has to be legal to be considered in the appraisal process. So the appraiser has some judgment there as to what they're going to do. Another major impacting factor is how is the lender that's going to be lending on the home, how are they going to view this space? They might take the hard line of, yep, it's not permitted, therefore it's not legal, or they might just ask the appraiser to say, was this area done in a workmanlike manner and does it conform to the neighborhood? If so, we're going to take it, we'll give it full credit. So those are some options, and it usually ends up happening that the scenario is somewhere in between. One of the major factors is, will a buyer pay a premium for this area? You've taken a garage that's attached to a home, you've converted it into 2 bedrooms and a bathroom, so now you've got 2 bedrooms and a bathroom that aren't legally permitted, not legal, and you've also eliminated the garage. The house no longer has the garage. So are the additional 2 bedrooms and bath that don't have a legal permit, are they going to offset the lack of garage? That's what the appraiser has to kind of figure out, and that's also what the lender is going to be super interested in, is where does this fit in with the marketplace? That's the big question to be answered with an unpermitted area. So what the appraiser is trying to do is determine where does this unpermitted addition fit in within the marketplace. In a perfect world, the appraiser would be able to go onto the MLS, do a quick search, and find some comparable sales with similar unpermitted areas. But we all know that's just not going to happen. You're just not going to find comps that are that similar to be able to determine the value of that addition. So the appraiser has basically got to take a guess at the market's impact from the unpermitted addition. One of the things that I'll do, or I will recommend to one of our Reynolds & Klein appraisers, if the area isn't permitted, you can still include it in the appraisal. You just have to include it not as gross living area, not as living space. Maybe you include it as finished storage, maybe you include it as finished garage, finished outbuilding, whatever. But in order for an area to be technically included in gross living area, it's got to be permitted. And so if you've got an unpermitted area, it's probably not going to be gross living area. One of the major things to consider is the quality of this addition. Is the quality of the addition similar to the rest of the house? Has it been done in a workmanlike manner? And does it conform to the neighborhood? So are buyers going to look at this addition and say, yeah, this makes sense, we're going to pay a premium for it? Because if they're not going to, then it's an addition that probably doesn't have much value. And then another issue is, even if this area is permitted, you might not get a ton of extra value for it. And the reason being is that most homes are kind of created initially to conform to the neighborhood. And so when you do something like take a garage and convert it, you are adding extra living space, but you're also making the home way bigger, but now it doesn't have a garage. Those are the factors you kind of have to weigh out, and does this addition make sense? And also, it really depends on what the issue is that has been not permitted. And another major factor that the appraisers consider is kind of the magnitude of the addition. Was it a big addition or was it a small addition? Say you covered a patio area or something like that, something that's not really going to have major impact on the appraisal process. The appraiser may not call for it. They may not even bring it up as an issue. But if it's a big space, 400 or 500 square feet that's been converted into living area, then that's something that's really going to have an impact, especially especially when the new buyer goes to sell this down the road and they have to disclose to people, yeah, there's no permit, we just bought it this way, and this is just kind of how we live with it. So the biggest problem you're going to run into with an unpermitted area is you're going to have a tough time getting a loan on the house, or you're going to have a tough time getting a loan on the house that includes this space that you've finished off but not necessarily gotten permitted. And it also can impact the marketability of the home. Homes that have unpermitted areas typically have a tougher time selling. They're going to have longer days on market, and they've just got kind of a stigma around them that buyers know, okay, yeah, we know it's got this extra family room, but it's not permitted, so it's kind of weird. We're not really sure what to do about that. Let's go buy this other just normal home that doesn't have any of these issues. Let's run with that one. That's kind of the behind the scenes of what happens with a home that's unpermitted. So if you are looking at doing a permit, understand that loan problems and marketability are two major issues that you're going to run into no matter what if you don't get a permit. And one final factor is if you are a real estate broker and you are listing a home, go ahead and disclose the fact that this area is not permitted. It's going to come up one way or the other. And full disclosure is way better than trying to hide the fact that you've got an area that's unpermitted and having it come up, maybe towards the end of the escrow process, maybe during the appraisal process. This is a factor that's going to come up if it's a big addition and you don't have a permit. So full disclosure is the way I typically recommend to go, and then you just deal with it when it comes up accordingly. Again, I'm Sean Reynolds, the owner of Smit Properties Northwest and Reynolds & Klein Appraisal. Appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye.